My name is Matt Van Dyke. I'm 29 years old. I carry a Smith & Wesson Extreme Ops knife. It flips out. It's a basic pocket knife. It's decent, partially serrated blade. I also have a knife that I wear attached to my shin. Okay for cutting, primarily for stabbing. Okay, so this is the armored vest. In addition to body armor and a jacket, of course, I have a helmet. This helmet's been fitted with a helmet camera mount. I'll pick this up in the next clip.
Last fall, I met Matt Van Dyke, who told me he'd been home in Baltimore when revolution broke out in Libya. Rebels had taken up arms against Muammar Gaddafi, the country's dictator. When Matt heard about the uprising, he bought a plane ticket and set off to join the rebels. In his bag, he carried a video camera.
All right, you good?
Yeah.
Okay, so how did a guy from Baltimore end up fighting in a Libyan revolution?
Oh, I don't know.
Were there some influences growing up?
Books I always read when I was a child were choose your own adventure books.
This is a great whitewater adventure!
My mother says that when I was a child, I always had a deep desire for adventure.
Matthew!
I was raised on action movies. I wanted to be a CIA agent. And then I wanted to be a spy. Movies shaped a lot of who I was.
On the new Indiana Jones!
But in reality, I was sort of sheltered and spoiled growing up.
Be careful lifting those rocks.
I was an only child of an only child of an only child. And I was raised in a house where my grandparents lived with my mother and I. I was just the center of my family's universe.
Don't you look sharp?
I lived at home in the basement through college. I didn't have many friends.
Mighty General, silence.
I would spend, at times, 12 hours straight in front of a computer playing games.
Victory is ours, mighty one!
All my adventures were virtual.
Not hurt at all.
I first saw Lawrence of Arabia when I was in college, and it became one of my favorite films.
These are not ordinary men.
I don't want ordinary men.
I decided I wanted to study the Middle East. So I went to Georgetown University and earned a master's degree in Middle East concentration. But it was all just academic and intellectual. I had never actually even been to the Arab world. When I graduated from Georgetown, I really did not know much about the real world. I still wanted to do something that was extraordinary. But here I was in my mid-20s. My mother and grandmother would do my grocery shopping and do my laundry and bring it to me. never really paid my own bills, no job. I had to do something drastic. And so I needed to, do a course correction quite quickly in my life. So I decided I'd just do it the hardest way possible, a crash course in manhood. And then one day I was sitting at home watching television, and there was Albie Mengels. He's an Australian filmmaker from the 70s and 80s. And he set off on a multi-year journey doing all sorts of crazy adventures in Africa and so on. And he produced these films that were very popular in Australia. All this blonde hair and dressed kind of funny in his cut-off denim shorts and no shirt. But there was just something really appealing about these films. He was like a real-life Hollywood hero. And rather than just filming other people, he was filming his own adventures and himself. It was exactly that's the life I wanted to live. So I decided I would go and make travel adventure films like Albie Mengels did. Okay, this is the first recording with the new camera. So I went and bought a camera and I bought a motorcycle. I wanted to make a cutting-edge travel adventure documentary. I was going on my crash course in manhood, and I wanted to capture that on film.
Did you hope that by making a movie and being in your movie that you'd sort of be able to play a character on camera that maybe you'd become in real life?
Yeah, I did. I suppose I was crafting myself, using the camera to write my own life story.
I supported the idea of him doing something that would force him to be more independent and more responsible for his daily existence.
Lauren's sort of the more responsible, kind of down-to-earth, steadily employed, rational, reasonable, one that kind of keeps me a bit grounded.
That's part of why I felt like this trip would be so good for him, because he'd have to do all these things for himself. There wasn't going to be anyone there to help him or do it for him.
Oh, this is an awesome shot. This one's making the film. What are you doing, monkey? Let go. Jesus. Okay, I'm in Gibraltar. I'm at the Pillars of Hercules, and behind me is my first view of Africa, and here it is. Africa. It was very picturesque and very, just like I would have, written it into a script. I saw a camel, and I was like, wow, I am really here. I'm filming and photographing, but I didn't know anything about Arab culture, really. So, for example, there were a lot of guys walking around holding hands. I called Lauren, I said, Morocco is really progressive. They're really open with homosexuality. And she's like, you're an idiot. Like, men hold hands over there. I said, really? I did not know that. And when I went to use the bathroom, there was a squat toilet. I had no idea what this hole in the floor was. I ended up using the shower as a toilet, and it got really gross. A little bit horrifying, actually. Hold on.
You all right?
That's a problem I've had since I was probably about 16 years old. In high school, I started to become sort of obsessed with washing my hands. I went to a psychiatrist who diagnosed me as having obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD. My OCD is anxiety about various things, phobias. I avoid trash cans, sugar. If sugar were to get on me, I would feel contaminated. It ranges from minor inconvenience to extremely stressful. OCD video. Everything's okay, right? Just making sure I didn't hit anybody here when I pulled over. Part of my OCD is a constant fear of doing something that will accidentally harm somebody else. If I'm driving down the road and I hit a bump, I will start to think, could that have been a person? Could I have hit somebody? And then I might get 20 more miles down the road before I decide to go back and check just to make sure. Okay, this is an OCD shot. Could I have caused somebody to fall off the cliff? I don't think so. I think it's okay, right? Consciously, I know it's not real. I still have to get it off my mind. Here's a view of it. I don't see any cars that could have crashed. Fuck, more fucking OCD video. When I started using a helmet camera, it took a lot of that stress off me because I would just let it roll, and then I knew I could always go back and check the footage. But even with the helmet camera, it would cause me to look back over my shoulder and try to angle the camera to make sure I captured this fear on film. And then I'm looking over my shoulder one time, and I look back, and there's a car coming right at me. Crazy Moroccan driver, like, driving in the wrong lane. And I swerved off the road and crashed. This is me the day I broke my collarbone. You see that? It's gross. I don't know what to say. I had a motorcycle accident and I broke my clavicle. Yeah, so ends the adventure for now. Okay, let's go. But after this accident, I became terrified, basically. I'd like call Lauren from the hotel room in Morocco and whine about how afraid I was to leave the hotel room. And she said to me, "Why are you such a coward?" And it stuck in my head for years. I still, bring it up from time to time, whether she thinks I'm a coward now.
And I mean, I think that really stuck with him. He was kind of hurt by it, but he recognized that I was right. So, I mean, whether it caused this whole trajectory or not, who knows? Who can say?
Now she probably wishes she had said it. But, so I went back, I got the bike. And I decided I'm gonna hit every single Arab country. Spent some time in Tunisia, went to Egypt, through Jordan, through Syria. I tried to see everything. I zigzagged across the region. And I'm filming everything. I wasn't just watching television anymore or reading about other people. I was finally having my own adventure. It was incredible. In total, I did about 35,000 miles on that bike. Some of the best days of my life. Shit! Damn it, well I almost made it, and now I just crashed the bike. I'm trying to wave to this truck to get help. Damn it. Damn it! Fuck! I don't know what to do. I can't get the mic up. It's very, very difficult to shoot a motorcycle film by yourself. Sometimes I would drive up a mountain, set up the camera on a tripod, and then drive back down the mountain, filming myself driving. The whole process would take, 30 minutes, an hour for one shot that I probably wouldn't even use.
Oh my God.
Yeah! Taught myself how to do wheelies. So now I'm kind of like wheelie crazed. And I just want to do wheelies in like every shot, and I have to resist the urge to do it because it'll just look really show off, Oh man, yes! But the problem with adrenaline is that every time you reach a new level, you need more. Adventure's a little bit like a drug, and you build a tolerance to it, and then you have to take it to the next level. I approached the newspaper in Baltimore, the Baltimore Examiner, and said, look, if you just give me the paperwork, I'll go do some embedded journalism. And they said, that's great, we can't even afford to send our reporters to away football games. So now they had a war correspondent.
All right, let's go. Mount up. Mount up. Mount up.
Seeing war up close for the first time, it was like the movies, but not like the movies.
Oh, guys, count. We don't have a count. Oh, shit. There goes the video camera.
Soldiers would ask me to film them acting like soldiers, even though that's what they actually were. They wanted to define their image on camera.
Yo, make sure you get the picture of me kicking the door.
Go. Serious? You're supposed to be doing this?
Let's go.
Oh my God.
I don't want to kick it.
So stupid.
Yeah, open it.
Kick that shit.
All right, now take a picture of this shit. Hold on.
What? What are you gonna do? Go clear it first. Go fucking clear it. Seriously. Go.
All right.
Clear.
The soldiers were very friendly towards me, especially when I told them about the film I was making.
That night vision look good.
Yeah, it does. It's better than I expected it to be.
What are you gonna call it?
Huh?
What are you gonna call your movie?
Don't know yet. There were times when I was in Iraq that I felt like I was on the wrong side of the camera. Not necessarily that I wanted to be a soldier, but I didn't want to be just a documentarian. I wanted to be shaping events around me and having an impact, not just watching.
Now you gonna shoot?
Yeah, sure.
Hey, go put up a target for him.
When I was there, I learned a lot of things that would become useful later in Libya.
You just close so. It's ready to fire.
How am I doing?
Pretty fucking good for a guy in no shoes. I'm just saying, he's in the fucking black.
I've been here looking at my map of Iraq. Probably one of the worst selling maps that the International Travel Maps Company makes. Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
We talked. It wasn't like he was gone for months and months and I didn't hear from him. I mean, we, in almost every country he went to, he'd have periodic access to email, we'd have video chats, and that gave me the opportunity to see him and to see the changes and to hear him talk about the things he had seen people he'd met and places he'd gone, and it was amazing, amazing.
This is my utterly filthy hotel. Absolutely disgusting in here. Is this a live wire? This thing.
Having a camera to film my OCD helped me control it.
Look at the walls.
I felt I had sort of grown out of Matthew Van Dyke. I was over there without my family, and I was on my own and doing things that Matthew Van Dyke would never been able to do. So I felt it warranted a new name.
My name is Max Hunter. I'm 29 years old and I'm driving to Afghanistan. Max Hunter. Max Hunter was a swaggering, egotistical, ridiculously fearless, reckless guy that wanted to show off and get famous and these sorts of things. Very much informed by films in Hollywood. And at the beginning, I was struggling to project that on camera. But, you know, over time, I think I sort of grew into the me on camera. We all got to get our thrills somehow, right? And this is how I get mine. I started doing things that now I realize are a bit crazy. Things that I would not do now. I went through Iran, crossed the border, got to Afghanistan. I got dressed as an Afghan. I'd been growing my beard out. They blended in fairly well. I bought sawed-off shotguns. I kept them under my clothes for self-defense. I ended up getting to Kabul, traveled around the country, got attacked by a village mob. I got punched in the face by a cop. Got arrested a few times.
Fire!
I spent some time with U.S. soldiers. Just make sure you get like the shell casings coming up.
I gotcha.
The more I did, the more I wanted to do. And the more I survived, the farther I thought I could push it. I went to Osama bin Laden's old house in Jalalabad. I snuck in there and planted an American flag in the ruins. I also took a brick that I still have as a souvenir. It was a very dangerous project. It's sort of miraculous that I even survived it.
I just got bitten by a dog, a wild dog. That's what it looks like.
It was just one crazy adventure after another. In all my years filming hundreds of hours of footage, the most important pivotal moment of my entire journey I didn't even capture on film. And that was meeting Nori. Nori and his cousin were traveling through Africa, mostly by foot. And Nori was a hippie. You know, he had like a lot of hair, talking about peace and love, and this was a very cool Libyan to meet for the first time, because this wasn't my impression of Libyans. Nori and I becoming friends was sort of a little bit unexpected for me as well, because, you know, I'm not a hippie. I'm sort of more uptight. I have OCD. But Nori's one of the nicest people that you'll ever meet, you know. He's like, I used to describe him as almost saint-like his mentality and his kindness, you know. He's one of the greatest people I've ever known. We exchanged numbers, and Nori said I should go to Libya.
Americans weren't able to get tourist visas for Libya at that time. So I paid a fairly large bribe and got into Libya. When I got into Libya, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. So of course, I ran around with a motorcycle and posed for pictures in front of Gaddafi's posters to prove it. At that time, I think Gaddafi had been in power for 38 years. The 38 was on the posters.
I still sort of can't believe I'm here. It's almost like a dream.
I called Nori and hung out with him and his cousin. And I met these bikers. These became like really good friends of mine. When I was in high school, I didn't have many friends. I was mostly a loner in high school. And the few I have, I value highly. And the friends I made in Libya were better friends to me than almost all my friends in America.
Say something. I'm celebrating your 100th birthday.
It just felt like I'd sort of arrived home in a way. And the good friendships that I made really made me fall in love with Libya.
You are in Libya now?
Is it filming?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Merry Christmas.
Yes, thank you.
He came back, and I mean, everything was just better. I mean, I just, like, it's cliche, but you know, a weight just lifted. And I was so excited and just so relieved.
Well, I'm recording you right now. This is the way things should be.
When I came back, I was completely exhausted. I was done with traveling. I told Lauren, now we can have a normal life. And then Libya happened. And all those plans changed.
A revolution is spreading across the Arab world with anti-government protests.
Tunisia is in chaos this morning after protesters forced out the country's president.
Egypt is now in a third day of massive protests.
Even in Syria, protesters are planning 2 days of rage against the hardline dictatorship there.
They want freedom, they want social justice, an end to economic deprivation and corruption.
It's about democracy, it's about personal liberties.
We need freedom, freedom, freedom. Protests all across the Arab world, from Morocco to Iran. Governments have fallen in Tunisia and Egypt. Will Libya be next?
February 2011, the revolution in Tunisia and Egypt, it spread to Libya. It just started as protests. But when people in Libya protested, Gaddafi came out and shot them.
Gaddafi has reportedly sent out death squads to hunt down protesters door to door.
People, if they ended up in a hospital injured in a protest, they would just disappear from the hospital and be executed.
Suffering and bloodshed is outrageous, and it is unacceptable.
Foreign journalists are banned from the country, so cell phone cameras illegally capture these pictures. Then they're posted on YouTube and funneled out underground.
Virtually everybody involved was filming everything that was going on around them. It was sort of what I'd been doing on a micro level for a much more important purpose than my motorcycle adventures. 4 years earlier, I'd set off on this crash course in manhood. And now here was the Arab Spring challenging my very image of what manhood was. I was nothing compared to people that were going out on the streets in Tripoli. Their protests being returned with gunfire. My friends that I made in Libya, they still had internet access. So I was talking to them on internet chat and email. And they started telling me, you know, their neighbor was killed, their cousin was arrested and beaten. And my friend Tarek went out to protest. 2 people were shot by snipers right near him. The media footage is one thing, but when it's your friends telling you personal stories about people they're seeing being killed. It takes on a whole different level of meaning.
الملايين تزحف وما يقدر حد يوقفها.
At this point, America wasn't involved, NATO wasn't involved, the UN wasn't involved. One of my friends said, "Why doesn't anybody help us?" I could not imagine sitting at home watching on TV my friends being killed. And so I called Lauren at work and I said, you need to come home from work, I'm going to Libya. That day, I made the plane reservation for a plane leaving that evening. My mother driving to the airport, me in the car, and then I turn the camera and look at Lauren and she just looks really pissed off.
I can't say that I was surprised, but I was angry. I wasn't as angry that he was going as that he was gonna go that day with no notice, no time to like get his stuff really together or anything. I mean, I was pissed.
Today's February 28th and I'm in Cairo, Egypt. I'll be taking a car to the border tonight. I hope to get across the border, get to Benghazi, and once I'm there, I'll document what's going on and do what I can to help in the effort to overthrow Gaddafi. Part of me intellectually knew it might be a little bit ridiculous. The same guy that had his family bring him his clean laundry and his groceries, now I was heading into a war halfway across the world.
Muammar Gaddafi is showing no sign of backing down in the 18-day struggle for control of Libya.
Gaddafi appears to still be in control, but anti-government groups claim that they are now in charge of much of eastern Libya.
The border. Fuck.
منين جاي ان شاء الله؟ مساعد بشي بنغازي. بنغازي؟ ماشي مساكم الله طيب. اوكي.
I called Nori. And I said to Nori, Nori, I'm coming to Benghazi. And he was like, yeah, man, come on, it's cool. And when he said that, he said it in like his normal hippie sounding voice. And I thought when I got to Benghazi, Nori would just be like the same Nori, the same hippie, just hanging out, doing his thing, peace and love. But Nori walked in with a flak jacket, fatigues, a camouflage boonie hat, and he was completely serious.
When the war started here and all the Gaddafi army going out, the freedom, feeling your body flying, smelling something open inside you, like fresh air exactly, like you're in highland, and flying with, and safe. In Benghazi already, all have this feeling. Oh man, but in Tripoli still guys there worry about you. This is big hospital, and all the guys shooting is coming here. I hate the guns. Yeah, I don't want to kill anyone from Libya, and not just Libya, anyone from the world.
At the beginning of the war, Nori said, I was like, well, what do you want to happen to Gaddafi? He said, I just want him to leave and go live in his tent and just go away. Not like, I want to catch Gaddafi and I want us to kill him. He doesn't have like the hatred in him.
The welcome in Benghazi city. Sunshine tonight. Yeah, really sunshine. Nice city today.
People had started to organize into small units. Most of them were civilians. Nori had a friend named Ali, and he was one of the rebels.
So Ali is there when the bomb started. Many guys died, but he survived. Now
His truck had been bombed by Gaddafi's guys.
And we need to fight it with this car as well.
We do?
Yeah.
This is the car that we're all going in?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but we fix it. We have emergency fix it. You know? And we guns it down 14 and a half, you know?
Yeah.
We move. Nothing stop us. What we need more, and Matty did say we need the guns now, you know. We start the game. No games, war, big war.
Nori and Ali are inside a government building getting papers to allow us to get the weapons. So I'm keeping my head down here so that nobody sees me and recognizes me as a father. Hopefully this war won't last too long. And nobody gets hurt. I've been praying that nobody gets hurt.
Gaddafi's jets had bombed a rebel army base. We went in looking for ammunition that still worked.
No, we're supposed to find a gun here.
You see anything? At this point, Gaddafi's army was much better equipped than the rebels.
Be careful.
Very few of the rebels had any military experience. A lot of them had never handled a gun before.
Go for it, Nori. Safety off now, yeah? Put it on R. On the other side.
At the point that I joined the revolution, that I had fired a heavy machine gun, this gave me more experience than the guys that I was with, the group that I was with. People might say, well, you don't have military experience. Neither did anybody else, really.
That's a good place, man.
Good. The guys who were fighting at that stage in the war were guys like us. You know, independent groups, small groups, put a weapon in the back of a truck and go. Previously, I'd been in war zones as an observer, but this time as a participant. And the feeling was completely different. I was on the inside. I was dressed like everyone else. I was assuming the risks of other people. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was doing something really important. We were preparing for the war, and at the same time, we were watching the war on television. And at this point, Gaddafi was winning the war.
Colonel Gaddafi's forces are on the offensive. With their superior firepower, they pushed the front line many miles east to the oil town of Brega.
We decided that we would go and recon Brega, because that was going to be the next target. We're going to identify, defensive positions, where to set up the district, where to set up the mortars. Nori had to go work at the army base, so he wasn't going to be coming with us. And he survived because of that. We were at Ali's house before we went to Brega. And Ali said something I'll never forget.
It's the last dinner. You know last dinner?
The Last Supper? No, it's not the Last Supper. No.
No, guys.
You sure? Last dinner?
Yes.
What's happening to him tomorrow?
I don't know.
We went to Brega. There were still civilians there. People had their children in the street. They didn't seem concerned. All of a sudden, the truck stopped. It was a set-up ambush.
Ben, you were out on the front lines with rebel forces outside of Brega. Give us the latest. What's happening out there?
We were with them this morning, and they came under constant and heavy bombardment by Gaddafi forces.
I talked to him on the phone for a couple minutes on March 12th. And he was actually on his way to Brega. And the next morning, I woke up really early for some reason. It was a Sunday, and I woke up like 6-something. And I saw that Gaddafi's troops had moved into Brega. It was on TV, and I knew. In all the years of his travels, I was always terrified of that phone call, and it never occurred to me that the worst thing would be not getting a phone call, would be silence.
I was hit in the head during whatever happened. I was in and out of consciousness for days. I don't know where I was. I was transported quite far. And then I woke up in prison to the sound of a man being tortured in the room above me. I had this blindfold on, and they came and interrogated me. And they started playing video off my camera.
Nothing is so much.
It was a clip of Nori. At the end of the clip, I said, "Nori, you remind me every day why we fight." And the interpreter said, "You will never see America again." Bit down my nails, cut down my toenails with a piece of plastic spoon, thinking they were going to rip out my nails to torture me. They never came and interrogated me again. I figured that they had enough on the video camera. They didn't need to ask me any questions. It was all there. It took me out 3 times a day to go use the squad toilet. These black bugs would crawl into my cell at night, climb on the walls, climb on me sometimes. Bugs that lived in the toilet. Trash piled up there with maggots. And my OCD got really bad. And that was going to be the rest of my life. I would position myself under the hole and stare up at the sky. I thought America had satellites that would see down through the skylight and see me, and I would sit up there, and sometimes I'd make looks on my face of real terror, try to make it look like I'm not doing well. So these guys would know, looking down the satellite, man, that American's like, he's really in rough shape, we gotta get him out. I started to worry about everything. I was really worried that Gaddafi had sent people after Nori and his family because of my video footage. I worried Lauren was going to leave me. Lauren had been patient for years, but you can't run off and expect your girlfriend, to stick by you when you're in prison for years. And my mother was all alone. My parents got divorced when I was only a few years old. And I never know my father. And I have no brothers or sisters. So I made a decision to go sacrifice not just myself in Libya, but my mother also. And maybe it was all just ridiculous and insane. The whole thing going back the last 4 years of my life. Maybe we're very misguided and very foolish and very reckless. And yeah, I question whether it was worth it. Whether it was worth sacrificing my family for. And my future family with Lauren. And it was a very rough time. I spent 5.5 months in 2 different prisons, basically sitting in a closet, staring at the wall. The guards watched television at the end of the hall. And Gaddafi was holding a press conference. I started hearing talk of a prisoner being traded. And it was me that was being traded.
Efforts by the international community.
And then I heard Hillary Clinton
make clear to Colonel Gaddafi
talking about trading for me.
The American government is negotiating a deal to free Matthew Van Dyke.
That was one TV all over the world. Day after day, every single day, all the news was about me. People started bringing their children up to the prison walls to yell taunts at me. People were singing songs about me. And I heard this all day.
Fighting for your freedom. Freedom.
But I now realize none of it was real. My entire existence was in my head. Having auditory hallucinations is a side effect of solitary confinement. I know now. That place literally broke my mind. When I boil it down to just 2 sentences, it's like, oh, this guy thought he was the center of the war. You know, what a narcissistic asshole. But I felt like I had completely disappeared. So it was a way that my mind said, no, you do still exist, and you matter, and people are looking for you, as opposed to the reality that I felt before this started, which was, people think you're dead. I've been in prison for 5.5 months. And one day, I heard a really loud commotion. And I immediately thought, they are gonna come get me and kill me. And then I realized maybe these are prisoners. And it was the best day of my life. That night, I was sitting on the sofa at this house, watching my mother and Lauren on CNN talking about me escaping prison that day. And it was definitely a surreal experience.
Tell us what it was like when you finally heard your son's voice for the first time in so long.
It's just an unbelievable feeling. It was, you know, joyous. It felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. You get that queasy feeling in your stomach. It's so hard to describe, and it was just wonderful.
I went to the Corinthia Hotel. There was just a lot of press there. I called Lauren, like, is Nori okay? Have you talked to Nori? And she said, yes, he's fine. But Ali was driving the truck that I was in when I was captured. his body was found in a mass grave.
My strong advice to you will be that it's time to go home. I mean, you went through a very difficult experience. I'm sure your mom wants to see you. And you also need to talk to some people about what you went through.
I had had a personal taste of life under an authoritarian regime. And it absolutely transformed me. But what I had experienced for about 6 months was what Gaddafi had done to the country for 40 years. Gaddafi stole so many people's lives and ended so many people's lives. And I felt guilt or remorse or that I hadn't done enough. And then I felt like Lauren sort of asked me when I was coming home, and I kept being evasive. You know, I wanted to see Nori first.
No, freedom, no more, no more.
And then Nori came, and I mean, I was really relieved to see him. Nori had a uniform for me. He had a gun for me. You know, he had this stuff set aside. He had all this stuff for me.
Just like 6 months ago. Yeah.
And we went to the Ministry of Defense. Nori explained my story.
Are you pressed? No, you are.
The prison experience brought me a lot of credibility, which then allowed me to openly join as an American. They knew what I had been through, they knew the story, everybody had been talking. They were glad to have me. And they welcomed me, they did this Libyan dance and clapping and handed me a weapon that they had captured. It was a nice welcome back to the revolution.
So, how did it feel?
Yeah, it was a nightmare. It was horrible. I had to wake up every morning and I didn't know where he was. I didn't know if he was okay. I had to go to bed every night and didn't know where he was. Didn't know what was happening to him. I wanted him home. And I made it very clear that I wanted him to come home.
She's like, you know, this is how you are, this is a thrill thing. I'm like, no, this is really serious work. It's the most important thing I'll ever do in my life, is helping this war. And then I think she sort of understood.
There are going to be people who are going to think you should have gone home.
I mean, people can think whatever they want. I mean, during the 5.5 months I was in prison, the war changed dramatically. NATO got involved. And it was a totally different war than it was when we were just a few guys in a truck. The momentum had completely shifted from Gaddafi's favor to our favor.
Yeah, USA. Yeah.
Good.
Obama.
Yeah. Obama.
Yeah.
Obama.
I'd been in my brigade for maybe a week or so when some of Gaddafi's supporters came out of the desert and ambushed one of our checkpoints.
Let's stop here and see what's happening, all right?
That was my first taste of like, I am really, really in it now.
What about the situation here, man?
The situation is a checkpoint was attacked.
Okay.
Nobody saw anybody coming. There's buildings up here that they could have had people positioned to look around, spotters. They would have seen any attack coming. They were just attacked in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
They had nobody up on top of the roofs. There's no excuse for it, for this to have happened.
I came out of prison a much different person. I realized that I had a really close call, and I had to be far more cautious.
Whoa, whoa, could you not have your finger in the pin?
This.
Yeah.
Ah,
Please keep it out. Yeah. Please don't keep your finger in the pin. There you go. Yeah. First mission with the Katana. First mission with the Katiba. Somebody attacked the checkpoint today. So over a dozen guys dead. So now we're out in the desert looking for the Katana.
In the past, it was easy to be both behind the camera and in front of the camera. But while fighting in a war, it was a more difficult thing to manage.
You feel uncomfortable because you feel, even though you're not acting, you feel like an actor. You have to be conscious of what does it look like on the camera side.
Here, no worry, let me get another angle.
And then you wonder, is this authentic? Is this genuine? Am I choosing my words a certain way? Am I doing certain actions? But at the same time, you're trying to capture reality. It's not easy to do.
I need to have some video about how this guy fight.
At times, I felt that the camera was a bit of a distraction. I didn't want people to think I was there primarily to film, because I wasn't.
I'm just going to shoot the camera so no one stops talking about the camera. Now I want to shoot the camera.
No.
And then Nori will stop talking about the camera.
But Nori recognized the importance of the filming.
This is history, man. I'm very for the families, not for just missing.
Of course. I also want to do all the work that the other Duar do.
Yeah, okay.
Okay? And I'll film while I'm doing it. But I'm not going to stand around and be a cameraman.
So you fight with your two hands. Guns and cannon.
Yeah, that's how it's going to be.
Yeah, okay.
But one time we were in the Jeep and we started taking fire. And I basically fell out of the Jeep.
Shit. Fuck, Nori. It's okay. My gun's in the truck.
Huh?
My gun's in the Jeep.
Here's this dual role that I'm trying to play. I'm trying to affect events, but at the same time, document events. Nori has his gun in his hand, and I have my camera. And we're under fire, what am I gonna do? Yeah, I was like, what am I? Am I a filmmaker or am I a fighter? Sirte was Gaddafi's hometown. This is where his power still was. And once Sirte fell, the war would be over. That's how you know we're some of the first soldiers in here. They were on the front line because there's still green flags. The green flag was the flag of Gaddafi. A lot of explosions coming. Supposedly it's NATO bombing. So hopefully that's all it is.
So thank you for everything coming for help, you know. I need to get the peace, man. And thank you for everything. If the shooting coming to you, I send you in the good box in your mom for a souvenir for a happy new year.
Okay, what's that way like? Is it good? It's not good.
Go, give him a gun to move it.
When we got to Sirte, Gaddafi's guys were firing at us from buildings. They were using snipers. Where is the enemy?
Nobody's seen him, yeah.
Nobody knows? They were die-hard loyalists that were not going to surrender. This was the most filmed war in history, with cameras everywhere. There were guys with cell phone cameras in the middle of gunfights. Cell phone and camera in one hand, AK-47 in the other. And these guys, their concept of war is what they saw on television and movies. Guys standing up with machine guns by themselves in the middle of the battle and just spraying ammunition at the enemy. They wanted their picture taken with the big gun, things that they can show to friends, to family, to women they like to impress.
You felt it as well.
Yeah, I felt it as well. Everybody wants something they can share on Facebook. Everybody tries to create their idealized image of how they want to be seen and who they want to be. I'm about to go on a patrol inside Sirte, and these are the guys getting ready. After we took a neighborhood, we went in to clear houses to make sure there weren't snipers or enemy that were just waiting until we got inside to attack us. Gaddafi had handed out a lot of weapons to people, so we wanted to capture whatever weapons were there so they couldn't be used against us later. we were constantly under fire, where the sound, like, it's like, just like that, just like you would hear in a movie, constantly over your head. And you can't tell how high it is or how low it is until you hear like something metal behind you get hit, and then ding, and then you know, okay, time to take cover, because that was close. But you get so desensitized to hearing that. Bullets are real close. Real close.
You okay?
Even though I was in the war, you know, the OCD never goes away. I spilled sugar in my truck. This is a huge problem. Yeah, I still worried about sugar. I worry about the bottoms of shoes. Putting my mouth in a bowl after somebody else.
You do. You do. More man. Do it. Do it. Yes. Yes.
But given that I'd just been through prison and was in a war, putting my mouth in the bowl didn't seem like such a big deal anymore.
Yes. Now. Cool, man. Now you're fighting, man. Okay.
All right. Okay, just take it easy. All right, you're okay, you're okay. There were times that Nuri and I would take the press to the front line. Move up here a little bit. It was very strange because when I was in Iraq and Afghanistan, I was filming soldiers, and now I was the soldier.
Baltimore resident Matthew Van Dyke is armed and fighting with rebels in Libya just weeks after he escapes from a Gaddafi-held prison.
When I saw myself in news reports fighting, it became validation that I was a real rebel fighter. Here it was, for the world to see, that I was where I belonged.
For 2 years for nothing, you know. 42 years for nothing.
There were things I saw during the war, injuries, deaths, that were difficult to deal with. You can't capture it all. You know, you can't tell on a camera. You know, the randomness of death in a war. Everything's fine one minute, people are laughing and joking, and then the next, something hits out of nowhere, explosion, people are dead.
This morning, so bloody day, yeah?
I am. I'm trying to be safe. Okay, I love you very much. I called home on satellite phones a couple times to journalists let me use their phones. Okay, well, bye. It was hard to talk to Lauren. Thank you so much. It was extremely different existence to hers. I mean, life on the front line in an Arab revolution is not like life in Baltimore. Her problems were, there was a student that was bad at school. And my problem was, you know, I saw a guy whose body was on fire, or a guy whose head was opened by shrapnel. Yeah, we were living in two totally different worlds.
Did you ever kill anyone?
Well, one day, towards the end of the war in Sirte, we had squeezed Gaddafi's forces into a small area. one of the commanders in my brigade spotted an enemy in a window. They wanted me to shoot the guy. How many guys? Up until that point in the war, we had been fighting at ranges that I could not see the face of the enemy. It was, you know, maybe muzzle flashes from the enemy firing at us, or, you know, the enemies in that building or in that direction, you know, fire at them. This was my first experience. I've never shot at a person before. My commander was yelling for me to hurry up and shoot the guy before he got out of the window.
He's here. You can't see because he's between these houses. You have to see like this.
One of the other rebels, I handed him my camera, and I said, film this. Is it on record?
Matthew!
You got him? So go down.
I wasn't sure, I couldn't be sure if I had hit him. And then one of the other guys saw the guy kind of pop up and look around and then leave the window. All of a sudden, I felt very conflicted. Yeah, I feel like I failed because I missed my target. But at the same time, part of me is glad that I missed.
You think there was any part of you that missed him on purpose?
No, I didn't miss him on purpose. And that's part of what's disturbing. Because I tried to hit him. I tried. I had this image of who I always wanted to be. And for years I'd struggled to find that in myself and to become that person. But I just had myself filmed trying to take another human life. And what did that say about me? October 20th, the day after I tried to kill that guy, we heard rumors that a convoy had been stopped trying to flee from Sirte and that Gaddafi may have been captured. A lot of the rebels who were there, they had cell phone cameras to film themselves. What would I have done if I was there? Looks like the war is over. When I was in prison, there were a lot of things I thought I wouldn't do again. And going to the beach was one of them. But one day, Nori and I went to the ocean. It was incredible.
Be careful.
We were back to just Nori and Matt, the Libyan, and his American friend who had come to visit.
Oh no, man! Ah, I got water on my boots.
We found a carpet with Gaddafi's face on it. I told Nori, you know, go ahead, step on his face if you want. And Nori wouldn't do it. He said, like, why do something like that? It's just, he didn't want to, like, be like Gaddafi. It wasn't about revenge. This was about freedom.
So 5 years ago, you set off on a crash course in manhood. Looking back on it now, were you successful?
What's the fire screen? Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I got it. I got it.